All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready for yet another reading. I'm done eating my food, so now we can get started. Yo, peoples, Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to yet another My Hero Academia chapter reaction and review. So, going forward from what we know from the last chapter, All For One was frantically trying to find someone trying to get rid of the New Order quirk in his body that was basically just whittling him down to next to nothing. So he flies into a nearby harbor town where some escaped convicts are sitting in there. And we don't see him put the new quirk in the guy's body because his purpose is to take the guy's quirk away from him, then put New Order in there so that it can be preserved, so he can take it without it having that New Order, that star put on it on there. Then he disappears for a couple of days. And during that time, the squad that was with Star says, like, hey, we took all this data that during the fight with Shigaraki and Star, so we hope that this is a bit of a help to you. So since what Star did to All For One Shigaraki's body put his body in dire straits, they now have an extended window in order to take him on. Rather than his body being complete 100% leading up to the next day for them, it was actually they actually had like a whole week to find him and bring it all to an end. And in the last panel, that showed Midoriya, Shoto, and Bakugo in that window trying to find out, like, hey, the deadline's been pushed up a little bit. Okay. So now we get to see what happens in the next chapter, in chapter 335, Zygots. And it has All Might holding an egg in his hands. And now we continue where we left off when All Might was speaking to the team, with Midoriya saying, wait, so Star dealt lasting damage to Shigaraki? And then All Might says, data analysis from the American fighter jets tells us that when Shigaraki stole New Order, it ate away at him from the inside like a poison. Evidence suggests that New Order ravaged a considerable number of the quirks held in his massive library. Nice. Then Jiro says, okay, so that means... And then Momo says, right now is the world's best chance to take him out. The mass civilian evacuation effort continues, and all remaining heroes are now on the hunt for the villains. All For One may have suffered this setback, but figuring out his next move is nearly impossible. Whether we find him or he comes to us, full mobilization and all-out war is inevitable. Here's what you're up against. And All Might explains what they're up against. He may be sidelined for the moment, but Tomino Shigaraki is still the deadliest villain out there. Then there's All For One himself, his original body. Plus Dabi, the madman with flames as fierce as endeavors. Young Himiko Toga, a constant thorn in our side. The 6 remaining near high-end Nomu. The remnants of the Liberation Front. And then there are the yet-to-be-apprehended escaped convicts who serve All For One. And then Ojiro says, it's not Ojiro, it's, dang it, I forget this guy's name. He always has a mask on, and he's the heteromorph guy. He's a heteromorph guy with all the arms. I keep forgetting his name. I'm sorry. It's safe to assume the list goes on. And then All Might continues saying, yes, they will likely amass more allies. Meanwhile, less than half of those on our side remain to face this threat. It pains me to say this just after Star's untimely death in the line of duty. But if you hope to protect anything you hold dear at all, then I would ask you to fortify yourselves using this extension we've been given. And then Bakugo just chimes in with his usual tone of voice. Already way ahead of ya! And All Might is just standing there silent as his voice just blows back his hair. Then Uraraka says, what he said, you haven't noticed because you and Deku left the school, All Might. And then Ida says, and when you do return, you leave without a moment's notice. Then Ojiro, the right guy I know the name to, says, in the wake of Gunga and Jaku, we've been doing intensive training with the Pussycats, as much as we can without leaving the dorms. Why are you... And then it shows Ojiro changing, and then Mineta saying, why are you changing here? Then Tokoyami says, where Midoriya goes, we follow undaunted. We shall fight until Shigaraki has fallen. And then Mina says, not daunted at all. And then Midoriya says, Kacchan and the others even agreed to spar with me to help me complete One for All. Ha! I never said that. Did some prison breaker rip your ears off? And then Sato is in the back saying, I thought you changed. And then Bakugo comes back and says, all I want to know is how much punch my new cluster moves are packing. Taking on One for All is just another box to tick on the path to Shigaraki and All for One. Then Shoto comes in saying, that's right. He just says, what? 2 words, that's it. That's right. Then Kirishima says, hey, don't forget to beat the snot out of me too. And then Seto says, you ain't ready to give up the title of resident punching bag? And then all the students are just talking with one another as All Might's listening in. Nah, I just need to take some good poundings if I'm ever gonna get harder. We gotta honor Star's last wishes. Why don't we take this out to the courtyard? How dare that piece of crap take my Star from me? Star fought for all of us, oh wait. This Mineta saying it. How dare that piece of crap take my Star from me? Star fought for all of us, Mineta. And then he's thinking back to when all the students were standing there welcoming Midoriya back after Uraraka's speech with him, with All Might thinking, the Zygots I met that day have long since hatched. They refused to succumb to the raging storm, and now they spread their wings to reassure me. All for One, I'll say it again. You made a foolish move. Those foolish villains picked the wrong fight, because Class 1A is a mighty force to behold. Know that, All for One. And then it cuts to Shigaraki, who's made it back to his, wherever his hideout is, with the original All for One there. And his body is being massively ravaged and he's screaming out in pain. Then we get All for One. Worry not, my other self. All will be well. Your quirk factors are simply worn and weary after that fracas within you. Kill them all. Hate them! As long as a single person still remembers All Might's stupid face, I'll never know peace from this torment. And then it shows All for One thinking to himself, our minds are fusing. I can sense that much. That violent rage. Yes, I share Tomura's hatred now. There. This is all for the best. New Order refused to be stolen, but we cleared away what was perhaps our most formidable obstacle. Let that lighten your heart. No sense in dwelling on a single foiled plot. And it shows that All for One is hooked up to like breathing machines in order to fully breathe because, he doesn't have a nose. I'm sorry to have to do this after all your prepping, but the rest of you will need to remain on standby a bit longer. And then Toya, is here saying, nah, screw that, another day of dear old dad strutting around under the sun, I can't stand it. My dear Toya, we have much in common, you and I, but let me tell you how we differ. Huh? Listen well. When I find myself with a goal, I'm sure to plan out a number of routes to the goal, shall we say? To be exact, I weave my plots years or even decades prior, so that I may employ a valuable route when the time comes. That explains why he's always been one step ahead of everyone. This dude has contingency plans on top of his contingency plans on top of his contingency plans. To be exact, I weave my plots years or even decades prior, so that I may employ a viable route when the time comes. A route that inevitably achieves my ends. Now, the advent of my perfected vessel is delayed, and UA has welcomed Izuku Midoriya back into its sturdy walls. But what I have that you lack, Toya, are friends to spare. Oh my god. Way back near the beginning of this story, way back when the students before the even the final fight of one All for One versus All Might, when the teachers were talking about a possible mole in UA, people said this person's name nonchalantly, but we didn't pay attention to it. And who do we see in the final panel when All for One says what he has that Toya lacks is friends to spare? Hakagure. Hakagure. She is All for One's mole. And if you don't know what the name Hakagure means, Hakagure is the invisible girl in Class 1A. And they make note of in this last panel to show her body outline. Like the shape of her body, despite her being invisible, they show the shape of her body holding her gloves. Yo, Hakagure is working with All for One. And you know what? Someone said that she could have been the mole, but that was years ago. Years ago, and I never paid any attention to it. I was thinking, no, there's absolutely no way. Years ago. Hakagure is All for One's mole. The fact that All for One says that when he makes a plan, he does it years, even decades in advance. So who knows when he got in contact with Hakagure for him to have her get into UA and be his source of information in there. Because think about it. There is no better spy to have under your employ than a person whose quirk allows them to be completely invisible. Remember when the chapters tried to set up and made it seem like Aoyama could have potentially been the mole? But it just wound up that he was just really, he resonated well with Midoriya to the point of very near fanaticism, and then it was dismissed. Now we know who the mole is. A long-standing mystery of whoever was relaying information about what went on inside of UA for Shigaraki and the first Nomu and Kurogiri to even get inside of the compound and fight All Might all the way near the beginning of the series was Hakagure. Wow. And you know what makes her quirk dangerous? It's not Himiko Toga you got to worry about. It's not the person who can change and make themselves look like someone else. It's the person who is able to erase their presence just by going invisible, and you won't even know that they're there at all. The only way we know where Hakagure is when she wears her gloves. That's it. Or when she's wearing her usual uniform. Do you think her being permanently invisible is a gimmick? Her quirk is the ability to turn invisible. She just has it on all the time. Hold on. Now we gotta look up Hakagure. Okay. Stealth hero. Okay, due to the nature of her quirk, her hero costume consists of only a pair of light blue gloves decorated by pale pink lines and light brownish gray lace-up shoes. Let's see. Let me see. Quirk. In addition to stealth capabilities, her quirk is invisibility, is that her body is completely invisible. In addition to the stealth capabilities granted to her by her invisible body, Toru can refract light that passes through her, allowing her to intensify the light into a blinding flash. That's a good way to get people to get off of your back, is to just flashbang the immediate area while you make your escape, and just because it's very hard to keep track of an invisible person if you find out where they are. All it takes is just you getting momentarily blinded and they're gone. After her hero work studies with Yoroi Musha, Toru has further refined this application of her quirk, achieving the ability to manipulate and redirect light-based attacks, such as Yuga Aoyama's naval laser. As part of her training, she worked on improving her stealth prowess by remaining undetected from the sensory-efficient Mizo. So that's another scary thing. Her work studies allowed her to perfect her stealth prowess even more. So if she was stealthy beforehand, she's even stealthier now since she did those hero work studies. She's literally the perfect spy. And then apparently in one of the trivia, it says that Toru is seemingly revealed to be the UA traitor. And then it also says in this trivia statement that Toru is the only Class 1A character whose quirk has not been formally introduced in the story, despite being always active. Horikoshi has noted this previously on Volume 2, stating that he has not found the right time for it yet. I think this chapter is where it's going to lead into. Hold on, let's go to synopsis. Let's go to synopsis and go all the way down to the bottom. It doesn't show the current synopsis of the current chapter right now, but this brings up so many questions. Maybe the doctor noticed she could turn invisible and told one for all, and he made her the inside girl. I would not be surprised, but oh my goodness. If Toru is the spy, she's the perfect spy. Because no one suspects. I mean, here's the thing, it's staring them all in the face, but none of the teachers give it a batting eye into thinking that. Have we ever thought that maybe the mole is a person who could possibly turn invisible? No one even thought of that idea. So the fact that not even Principal Nezu had anticipated the possibility, he anticipated the possibility of Himiko Toga infiltrating into UA. But he never mentioned considering that one of his own students, who has been going there since the beginning of the series, could potentially be one of the moles working for All for One. The fact that All for One has mentioned how he does his plans years and decades in advance means that he must have known and found out about Toru's ability to turn invisible and took her into consideration as a means of infiltrating into UA and plan accordingly around it. Because how else would Shigaraki and the rest of them have gotten in and not get detected until the moment they were there? How else would All for One have planned and known everything that was going on at UA and go and plan accordingly around that if he didn't have someone on the inside? And who better to be his spy than the individual who can turn invisible? We're just gonna have to, wow. We're just gonna have to see where this next chapter goes. I don't want it to be her. I want this to be like a chapter that ends on a fake out. and it just happens to be on her. But if this is her, she is the perfect person to fit this role. Because there's no other people out there that have the ability to erase their presence and make themselves even harder to detect, even with their invisibility. That means that all this information that Shigaraki and the rest of them have been getting about UA and always having a step ahead and finding out what's going on, Toru's been telling All For One and the rest of them. You ain't got to worry about Himiko Toga infiltrating UA and then looking like other people in order to get close to everyone else. That's no longer a person you gotta worry about. You gotta worry about Hakagure now. And the thing is, people were saying, what if she's the spy? But they never really gave a big explanation. They just said, what if she's the spy because she's invisible? And quite frankly, that's pretty much a good reason why she's the spy. That is such a simplistic idea of why she could be the spy and the mole in UA, yet we brush it off because it just seems so simple. But it's such a simple concept that it actually works. I don't even know what to say. Because the thing is, all of the members of Class 1A are really close-knit. They're close to each other. They're like family to one another. They've been through everything together. This is like Kanjuro revealing himself to be the traitor right when the whole war for Onigashima was about to start. He's been with the nine scabbards all the way since Odin, and then to live out his life as a comrade to them, only to reveal himself to be a traitor. This is what this feels like. We gotta wait till the next chapter. I need confirmation. I need absolute confirmation. Oh my goodness. I need confirmation. Wow. Such a simple explanation that people brushed off, including myself, because I thought it was too easy. I thought it was too simple for her to be the spy, simply because she has an invisibility quirk, and that's a good thing for a spy to have, is the ability to just straight up go invisible and never be detected by anyone. I just thought it was too simple all those years ago when I started this series. Now, it's coming back to haunt me, because that's exactly what's happening. Horikoshi. Oh my goodness, wow. What a twist! That was a, wow, I did not expect that. Oh my goodness, Horikoshi, how you gonna throw me for a loop like that? I can't even really bring up any other subjects to talk about. Now, mind you, All Might is telling everyone that, hey, we got this amount of time to be prepared to take on Shigaraki, so we still got a little bit of a window. But this chapter was pretty much stolen when All Might was telling, because Toya was all like, nah, I don't want to be on standby. I can't stand the fact that Endeavor's out there right now. I can't stand it. And All For One is all like, I understand how you feel, but you and I are similar in how much we want to get this done, but where we differ is that I actually plan things out. I planned things out so far that my plans were made before you were even born. Decades in advance. He's over 100 years old, so all of his plans are older than the very people that are with him. She finally gets her time to shine. Her time to shine, even though we can't see her shine because she's invisible. Yo! But seriously though, out of all the people that we've seen have really big, significant moments in the story, Hakagure has been strangely absent. She's always been a background character. Pretty much. She's pretty much been a background character. Now she's being pulled up to the front and center, as the potential traitor of everybody. I don't know what else I can say about this chapter except Horikoshi, you delivered another banger again. Let's be honest here, all of his past chapters recently have been exceptionally good, including the chapters where people were saying like, oh, I can't believe you did this with Star, oh, Star is dead, you're such a horrible writer, you know, the idiots out there. And I'm calling them idiots because only an idiot would think that all the story and world building that Horikoshi has done thus far gets completely undermined by one single chapter. Horikoshi is not those two dudes from Game of Thrones in the last season. This dude actually knows how to write. So, this is yet another fantastic chapter. And now I'm going to be stuck thinking. Now I'm going to be stuck thinking about this chapter all week until the next one. And Karma says, I feel like she's going to turn on All for One because even though she is a spy, she still spends time with them and develop relationships and stuff like that. That remains to be seen. We don't know how Hikagure is as a person. We only see how she is around people. We have to, Karma, we got to see. Because we only seen how she behaves when she's around people. We never seen her by herself. We've never seen Hikagure being by herself. We don't know what she's like outside of being with everyone in UA. We only know of knowledge of her training with the Toshimura or Toy. What is this dude's name? What is this dude's name? Toramusha. There it is. Toramusha. We only know from word of mouth all the time she spent with in her hero work studies, but we've never seen Hikagure by herself. We don't know how how she acts when she's not with anybody. So we gotta wait. This is a chapter where as much as this chapter flat out just paints her as the traitor, I gotta see the next chapter. I have to see it. I cannot wait until next Sunday now. I hope she's strong too, but not like Todoroki level. The fact that she's able to redirect light, that could be a very useful power. But we also don't know to what extent her invisibility can do. Like, we know she can turn herself invisible, but who knows? Maybe she can turn other things invisible as well. Or maybe she has like a completely different facet of invisibility that allows her to, I don't know, maybe she has a weapon and she can make that completely invisible. But she can choose what to make invisible. I'm just spitballing ideas here, but this is a chapter where I have to see the next one and see where it goes from here. You do not end a chapter on one of the students of 1A as All for One is saying, like, unlike you, Toya, I have friends to spare. And then it centers onto a student of 1A. When he says this, you do not end a chapter like that and then just expect me to wait 7 days. I mean, I am going to wait. I have no choice. I'm not going to read it early. I don't read it on Fridays or early scans like that. I'm going to wait until next Sunday to find out this. But that is one way to keep me massively invested, because I never would have thought that potentially one of the students from Class 1A is working for All for One after all this time. Oh my goodness, the story just keeps delivering one thing after the other, and I am absolutely here for it. Oh my goodness, I love this story! The twists and turns have me speechless, and that's why I love this story so much. Horikoshi just continues to prove that he's a phenomenal writer. He knows how to make you think about things you really didn't think about. Imagine if her quirk wasn't even invisibility, but more like Aizen Shikai, where she makes them think she's invisible. Yo, if Hikagure is like a Kyoka Suigetsu, where she's not actually invisible, but her quirk allows her to manipulate the 5 senses, and it just makes people think she's invisible? If she's a living, walking Kyoka Suigetsu? That'd be too OP though. Yeah, it would, because she could make them think anything. Make their entire senses be completely fooled. Ultimate, absolute hypnosis. She would probably be way too OP for that, because what's to stop her from using that quirk on All for One? Just a thought. Love this chapter. Karma, you and me both. Because isn't this the first time we've ever seen the outline of Hikagure's body? And we don't even get the top of her head, so we don't even know what her hair's like. But Is this the first time where we get an outline of her body shape at all? We've only seen her hands and we've only seen her shoes and whenever she's wearing the usual UA student getup. But we've never seen like the outline of her body like that. You don't do that much attention to detail unless that person is going to become a very important asset in the future. A person that was once a background character is now going to become a very important main character now. Or at least secondary a character that is above background. Like you see Sato, you don't pay him too much mind. He's there, he's there, but he's kind of a background character unless they bring him forward just a little bit, but not to the point where he's beneath main character status. We got Hakagure. We got Hakagure who's making her way up to kind of close to the level where Ida and Uraraka are. Kind of close. Above that is Bakugo, Shoto, and Midoriya. Underneath that is Uraraka, Ida, and possibly Yaoyorozu. But underneath them, Hakagure is getting closer and closer to that level. So the fact that she's being brought from all the way in the back to the front in terms of story narrative and relevance, oh, I need to know more. There's not much else I can say about this chapter except it was great. This chapter was a great chapter, and I'm going to be thinking about Hakagure and how in these past live streams, that way back near the beginning of this series when I was reading my actual volumes to you guys, people were saying like, what if Hakagure is the spy? And I dismissed it. That very moment where I dismissed it is coming back to haunt me years later, and those people could turn out to be very right. But we're just going to have to wait and see till the next chapter. This is the one where all I can say is just wait till the next chapter. Because we don't know 100% for sure. But this chapter is leaning heavily in the traitor direction. So we're just going to have to see. I'm sorry if I've just been going over and over this over and over again. But this chapter just got me thinking like, wow. For you to get one of the top classes in all of UA, one of the students from said top class, to be your inside person, to relay any and all information concerning the heroes there and even the students there, that is massively concerning. But we're going to have to see in the next chapter. It's going to be hard getting through this week thinking about this chapter and thinking about how many days I have to wait until the next one comes out. But I'll get through it. I'll definitely get through it. Now I got to look back at all of her past moments and what she's done that could have alluded to this. But we'll have to see. So that's where I'm going to end it for now, ladies and gentlemen. I got to get ready to record my reaction to One Piece's new episode. And then I'll be kind of good for today. And I'm just going to relax a little bit. But with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed what you saw here today, then consider subscribing because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. So have a fantastic day. And once again, as always, later, peoples. Good Lord, Horikoshi got me all messed up.